The Indigenous Street Family in Victoria, BC is impacted by climate change in a direct and immediate way. When we consider their influence on this intensifying global crisis, it is so minimal when compared to industry and the average consumer. Yet they are the ones who day to day are experiencing those rising temperatures and direct exposure to extreme weather events. This reality not only has implications for the physical health of the Indigenous Street Family, but their cultural and spiritual health as well. They belong to nations and communities that are the traditional stewards of these lands, though their inclusion in solutions is largely absent. The Indigenous Climate Health Action Program provided an opportunity for the Indigenous Street Family to be involved in solutions in meaningful ways, to learn and relearn outside of the city confines about caring for the land in our ways. Beyond this, there was action in taking up these practices and learning how to integrate them into our everyday lives for the long term. The legacy of this project was how it brought together generations of our people for this purpose. Elders and knowledge holders shared teachings and led action based on priorities from their tribal regions, whether Coast Salish, NuuChahNulth, or Kwakwaka'wakw, focused on the themes of oceans, harvesting grounds, forests, and rivers. Through this project, special attention was paid to our young ones, our youth who have the gifts and the strength to rise up as leaders in addressing climate health action.
Well, again, it's always a pleasure to have the Aboriginal Coalition family on the land of the Coast people, especially in the what we call Coast Salish territory, where the Sacred Cedar Center is, the NuuChahNulth. It's always wonderful to share stories, to share the history of the land, to talk about the traditional waterways of our territory and how they're being affected by more of the resource extraction of our landscape here. And today we spent most of the time on the Cowichan River. So I brought them to the upper part of the Cowichan of where I live to explain about some of the failure of diking systems and controlling of water. Also to look at the effect of pollution and effluents and garbage coming into the water system. We spent the first part of the afternoon on the upper part of the Cowichan River, and then the last part of the opportunity we had for teaching was on the lower part of the river, showing them where we call what the South and North Fork of the Cowichan River that splits, and explained more about how a lot of the extraction of forest on the upper part of the river starts to show of all the the gravel and clay and dirt and trees that get washed down the river, and explain to them the level of gravel on the South Fork of the Cowichan River. For the last decade, that river dries up every year, whereas it never used to. Where they guesstimate maybe 12 feet of gravel in the South Fork of the river. So that's a lot of erosion that's happened in the upper part of the Cowichan River on the mountainsides where a lot of the logging takes place. So they got to see that piece of it. And we explained a bit about the returning of salmon and some of the difficulties of returning of salmon due to a lot of the erosion changing the spawning beds. The more recent difficulty they're having is seals and sea lions coming up the Cowichan River, whereas they never used to travel that far. But they're going up, probably 8-9 kilometers up the Cowichan River and just decimating the salmon population up there.
I can't even express the importance of it, because how do you put a limit on it? They need to be able to breathe, and they come out of the urban setting, and it's so stifling in, you know, being confined in apartments or living rough, or, you know, having to be able to survive all the time. And then you find them a place where they can just be themselves and relax, and you see their strengths, and, you know, it's exciting, but I think it's vital for them to be able to go out and be away from the urban setting and the environment, you know. They're not just having to be limited in space, you know, they can go out there, like we saw the guys when they just went and they made themselves at home, made the fire, they were all laughing, they were all happy. And when they're at home in their apartments or in their place of residence, they're just there, you know, they're not able to do anything, not able to go anywhere, they're isolated. And so they really were able to just come out and be themselves. And we saw a lot of their strengths while we were out there in Goldstream. And so I think that being able to allow them that space to go to Goldstream, it's really important. It's really important to see them, just to see them. It's like such a big difference, you know.
I released the loved ones that I loved. I let them go rest in peace. And that's it. It was the drum that stood out to me very much so. And I appreciate it. And thank you very much from the bottom of my heart, or what's left of it. But I thank you very much. And
3 years ago, with guidance from our Elders and Knowledge Keepers Advisory, the Aboriginal Coalition developed land-based healing as a pathway to healing and recovery for the Indigenous Street Family. These have been opportunities to participate in culture and ceremony, share traditional foods together, and get on the land. Our shared concern today is that land-based healing as a decolonized harm reduction practice is in jeopardy. It's been put at risk because of climate threats and land degradation, which are being accelerated not only by resource extraction, but pollution, urban expansion, and unsustainable land use. Being a part of this program for all of us is an expression of our love for the land and the recognitions for the ways that it is taking care of us. We are rebuilding and strengthening reciprocity in our relationship with the land through this project. It brings us immeasurable purpose and gives us ways to be good ancestors to our generations to come. One of the benefits of the ICHAP program is that the Indigenous Street Family were able to receive teachings and take action related to their own ancestry, but also had the opportunity to gain those learnings from tribal regions across Vancouver Island. It's important in addressing climate change that we recognize it's not only a local issue, but one that needs to be addressed across the island, across the province, and the nation. In coming together as a community to address climate health action has built our sense of collective purpose and meaning. Addressing issues like climate change can feel isolating, helpless, and overwhelming at times, but this work has reminded us that there are solutions, there have always been solutions, and there is a good way forward together. Our approach at the Aboriginal Coalition from day one has been to engage in conversation and dialogue with the Indigenous Street Family about meaningful solutions. Naturally, a direction we can strongly consider going forward is integrating climate health action as a central part of the existing land-based healing program, out of respect and recognition for all the land continues to offer us. Our leadership and team is also focused on exploring further climate health impacts within the urban setting, particularly increased heat waves as well as colder temperatures, which year-round continue to impact the street family who are unhoused and living rough in the winters without access to emergency shelters. In the months and years ahead, we will engage in dialogue and learning on the changes they have experienced throughout the seasons and their ideas as to how we can better support them.